kind of stuff. We're gonna turn this back into a wrestling thing. It's not gonna be like a podcast episode. I'm just gonna like answer questions from Greg and just talk about wrestling. And we're gonna watch some wrestling. That was the original plan. Tomorrow, I feel like I have more time to really like flush out, Raid Shadow Legends. I kicked the boss's butt. I didn't know I had like 3 people. I was supposed to have a party of 4. And it's just like, oh shit, what happened to the other one? I didn't even see the other one die. So first of all, so that way people can come to the stream and, let's throw this up on the screen. I'm going to keep the Raid Shadow Legends theme here. My wrestling fun is there. But this is not an official podcast about AEW, even though maybe I should talk about some stuff and definitely talk about the all the headlines that are going around about, CM Punk and going off script for, a TV show that apparently is not scripted, So first of all, Tony Khan decides to say that for next Wednesday, it is going to be Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for the unification of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship title. Why? Why do we need to have that match on free television? I think next week it's going to be in Jon Moxley's hometown, at least in like Ohio, because he's from Cleveland, Ohio. It's gonna be in Ohio, so it's in Ohio. I feel like Tony Khan is one of those parents, even though he's not a parent to our knowledge, but one of those parents that give the spoiled children, the fans, what they want and what they want early, rather than slowing down, pulling back, and being like, hey, we got to do this for pay-per-view. Because if you decide to have this match, I know, like, Greg, I really do think that it's going to end that way. I think that, they'll have a match, a supposed match, but it won't end with any type of winner. We might end up getting a DQ. We might end up having someone come in, maybe Hangman will come in and mess everything up because Punk decided to call out Hangman. And you could just see how much of a spiteful bitch CM Punk is. So, we might end up having CM Punk come out. Or I'm not CM Punk come out. Of course he's gonna come out to fight Moxley. But I mean, we might have Hangman, we might have like MJF. MJF might show up. Tanahashi is not gonna show up. I don't think so. I mean, if we want to set this up to where Tanahashi is like, oh, Punk, you say you're the best in the world, why don't you come over to New Japan and like Wrestle Kingdom to do it? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Punk is not gonna do it. Punk has been dodging Kenta. The moment that he lands down in Japan, Kenta is probably going to beat the shit out of him because, CM Punk owes him royalties. So, CM Punk is not going to step in on Japan's soil. And if he does, he's going to run away from Kenta. He's probably going to try his best to please Tanahashi, maybe go into business for himself by saying that he wants to beat Tanahashi. I just don't trust Punk. Guys, don't trust Punk, man. Don't do it. It might be, it's never too late. It's never too late to not trust him. But I see like something's going to happen with this match between Punk versus Moxley, because if you're going to give it away on free TV, like what is wrong with you? I understand that it might be like a little bait and people are going to take the bait and they're going to take the hook of it and they're going to want it and they're going to salivate over it when the pay-per-view comes. But imagine if The referee messes up, counts to 1, 2, 3, and now we have one champion. What do you do then? Do you go back to the what do you call it? The rankings? Because they haven't been using the rankings at all. They've been throwing together random things. They've been calling up New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they're like, hey, we need some wrestlers because we don't want to pay attention to our ranking system. Like, what is it? I don't even know anymore about AEW. And it's like we still have this blind following of like AEW does good no matter what. Yeah, there are some pretty good things, but like, why should I be able to name a handful of those good things when I should be naming like 100 damn good things about AEW? I should be having more positives than negatives. But then again, not everyone in, the world of talking about wrestling, maybe analyzing about wrestling, doing journalism and wrestling. Maybe, not everyone's going to see my point of view, which is fine. Not everyone is going to see my perspective, which is fine. But you also have to remember that I don't look at things as a fan anymore. I try to look at things as a business point of view so that way they can improve and get the eyes that they need, get the viewership that they need, and stay on course with the viewership. That's the unique difference between AEW and WWE is that WWE manages to hold 1 million viewers. It never goes down below 1 million. It's always either 1 million, 2 million, 1 million. Like it stays in that million range. AEW always travels between the low, like the 700,000s to like the 900,000s in viewers, and that's where they kind of stay. And that's like, you need a little bit more to get more eyes on your product, to get more money in, to do more stuff. You can't just always cater to the same ones that always tune in, and then the other ones that like try to have it on every single type of device to make sure that it counts, but going back to this match, I really do think that we're going to have CM Punk versus Moxley. Somebody's going to mess it up, and then we may have a 3-way, a triple threat over at, All Out. It might be Punk versus Moxley versus Hangman, because Hangman ain't doing shit right now. Hangman wasn't the third member to the Young Bucks, so if Hangman is not doing shit, let him go after CM Punk. Let him actually, like, beat the shit out of him for disrespecting him and saying, that's coward shit. First of all, you called him out over nothing. Really nothing. Because if you don't really take promos like seriously against each other and you're just using the mechanics of a promo to push a story, there's no reason for you to get like personal and sort of like attack him in a way and be like, oh, that's coward shit because he didn't come out and answer my challenge. First of all, Punk, who the fuck are you? Like you shouldn't even be demanding anyone to come out to try to take the belt from you or challenge the belt for you or give them a championship rematch out of sympathy or something like that to try to prove you're all big and bad. Like, no. Punk didn't even say, not Punk. Hangman didn't even say, like, I want my rematch. Like, Hangman has been sitting and catering in the corner, being a good boy and minding his business. And then all of a sudden, Punk is all like, hey, come out here. I know you want your rematch. Oh, you're not coming out here? Well, here's a little bit of advice, blah, blah, blah. Sir, focus on Moxley. Like, your anger should be focused at Moxley, not Hangman. If you have a triple threat, it completely waters down the importance of an interim championship. Greg, at this point, we're not even going to have like a really good champion. I don't know, dude. Like, I get what you mean, but look, if CM Punk called me out like that or called out anybody like that, I say we have a triple threat match, man. We have a triple threat match to figure that out. Because it's sort of like, you don't get to call someone out and not get like confronted about it, but I'm just saying that it should be a triple threat match. Are we? Oh, ads start in 2 minutes. But yeah, I mean, At this point, Hangman is gonna have to step up and be like, "Yo, you gotta stop talking shit." Um, I am going to snooze my ads. Just know that in 7 minutes time, ads are probably going to play. Greg brought up Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega came back yesterday, and I was super concerned. It wasn't until after the fact that I realized what he's doing. He's doing a story build up where he's, looking like he's not 100% to be back. And he's not, you could see, you saw in the match that he really wasn't 100%, but he's playing up the story. Every single match is going to be him with the story of, I am not 100%, but the next match I'll be a little bit better. The next match I'll be a little bit better. And it's going to be weird and awkward when it's going to be the Elite versus Aussie Open and Will Ospreay. You guys know that Death Triangle is not going to advance, right? It's going to be Aussie Open and Will Ospreay. They're going to advance to the next round. They're going to go face the Elite. And this is where we're going to start building up maybe and hopefully a Wrestle Kingdom match. I do not want Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay on an AEW pay-per-view. I want it in a New Japan pay-per-view arena. Wrestle Kingdom 7 is only one day this year. Give me Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, because it could be full circle. You had one of the greatest wrestlers, the best bout machine, to leave New Japan and tell Ospreay to, hold it down. Ospreay has been staying in New Japan ever since. Ospreay does not have an AEW contract, but obviously he could work some AEW shows. But they did not give Ospreay a contract in 2019 to be like, hey, come over, you're a good worker, let's build something together with all of us here. They didn't do that. So it will be a nice full circle if we had Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay in Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because then they could do whatever they want. They can wrestle however they want, and they could definitely go 60 minutes. I don't want it in an AEW ring. I really don't, because then fucking shenanigans are going to happen, and it's going to feel like it's a watered down version. It's just different. I just want it like traditional. But yeah, we can all agree that next week it's going to be Aussie Open, Will Ospreay defeating Death Triangle to take on the Elite. And I really hope they don't do this thing where after Ospreay and Aussie Open win, that on Friday for Rampage they're gonna fight the Elite, because they're also using Rampage for this tournament also. And I'm like, man, I think you should be okay with doing it every week, that we should be able to get to All Out by the time the tournament is done, or I might be wrong. But yeah, man, I don't like that they're using Rampage for this too. Just because it's it's more product to watch. But yes, getting back to Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is definitely going to be using the storyline of that he's hurt, but with each match he's going to get better. And then my brain was all like, please do not have any stitches pop, because I think my brain was hearing too much on the commentary desk about, is Kenny Omega 100%? Everything that he got repaired and stuff like that, and everything that he's doing and stuff like that. Like everything they were saying on commentary, I was just sort of like, okay. And, so it kind of messed with me, where I was like, he was getting ready to do his patented, run the ropes, fly over, and the way that he extends his body, I was like, please do not have any stitches pop out. I don't want like no blood anywhere, you know. But in my head, I'm like, what stitches does he still have on his body? Like if he's still recovering, like I don't think he'll wrestle with like stitches on, you know. But you know, my mind is my mind, and it got a little goofy where I was like, why? Why is this, you know, happening and stuff? Um, so yeah. Um, it was a little cringy because you don't really want a wrestler to be working hurt. It's the same way of Will Ospreay versus Okada for today's G1 final. I cringed a lot of the time with Ospreay because Ospreay's working through his neck and like shoulder area. So you know, there's that. Also, I saw people complaining about how you know, Kenny Omega showed up on a regular Dynamite while like Cody Rhodes shows up at like one of the biggest stages of them all, WrestleMania, and gets like a different treatment and stuff. And you know, when it comes to debuts, they obviously like rushed the trio thing because again, AEW fans are always tweeting on Twitter and tagging this person, tagging that person. And they're always like, hey, one of those trios titles coming. When is this coming? When can we have this? When can we do that? Hey, I really want to see this. Hey, this is a dream match of mine. Can we do this? And I think it gets a little overwhelming for Tony Khan. And what he does is that he gives everyone that wants what they want. And sometimes you have to make decisions where it's like, if we do this now, how is this going to affect us in like 6 months? If not 6 months, maybe a year. How is this really going to affect us? Do we have enough talent? Do we have enough story ideas? Do we have enough running power? Do we have enough engine to like make sure that whatever we put on AEW programming and television, that it's going to survive, it's going to have legs? Because the last thing you want is to introduce something for it to become watered down and not do anything with it and have this supposed revolving door in AEW, and then we forget about certain championships, we forget about certain wrestlers, we forget about the homegrown wrestlers because we're so focused on the ex-WWE guys that AEW keeps on bringing in. And it's like, where is the homegrown guys? Why are they not in the spotlight? Now, AEW yesterday had Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy sucks on the mic. Sucks on the mic. Hands down. But I wasn't expecting a lot from him. I really wasn't. Someone really needs to help him with character, especially if he's ever going to get away from the Jungle Boy name and become Jack Perry or become something else. Because you can't just have this very sweet, nice looking boy talk without like some type of grittiness. Like, you know, for him, his character should definitely be like the boy next door, the one that's always cut up, the jock. He's you know, clean shaven, he always has his hair neat, and then go through these trials and tribulations of like defeat and loss, some wins, some belts, some highs and lows, and each one of them sort of changes him into like being a man, so to speak. And then when he does his promo, he can sound like a man, he can sound intimidating because all the past experiences can be like, these are my medals, these are my badges of honor, and then it's more believable. Like, him cutting that promo yesterday was believable to tell the crowd that he wore that shirt that says Christian is a pussy, and he was told that, you know, oh, don't ever wear it or whatever. Like, sir, you decided to make that shirt. Be proud of that shirt. Like, AEW is a t-shirt company. The Young Bucks are a t-shirt company. You know, whatever got over is on a shirt by the Young Bucks because they were, you know, making money any which way. And it's like, you know, you could have just left it. You didn't have to be a goody two shoes to, you know, not wear it. Like, you have to start getting some like manly stuff under you, or like some, just have some alpha. Um, you know, is my internet okay? Okay. If you guys are experiencing troubles with the string, just refresh. But yeah, I need Jungle Boy to get like some alpha male going stuff, man. I love how every time something happens in AEW, there's a new T-shirt. Man, I can't stand that shit. I can't stand that there's, a new T-shirt for every little thing that happens, and it's like you're making more T-shirts for more people to spend money on, when it's like, can you guys slow down? You guys are not a T-shirt company anymore. You don't have to rely on money from T-shirts like that. Like, or that just might be me, but either way, like when AEW makes T-shirts out of everything. Um, but yeah, I just need Jungle Boy to get a little like manly in a way. I really thought when Christian came out and Christian was cutting his promo against Jungle Boy, that at the end he was gonna say that I fucked your mom, only because he mentioned how he's his dad now, and and that he always thought of him as a son, and that he's gonna help him this time. And I'm just like, man, just say that I fucked your mom. Just say that, to complete everything. And hopefully, like, TBS doesn't get upset at it, but I would have been like, yo, just say it. It felt right for him to do it, but I don't remember what happened after that. I think they started brawling. If you remember, Greg, did they start brawling? But either way, like at All Out, it's gonna be Christian versus the Jungle Boy. It's gonna be a good match, but it's not like, it's nothing special, and it's nothing against Christian. Jungle Boy still wants to be that laid back boy, rather than trying to grow and trying to learn and probably outsmart Christian, even though Christian is the veteran. But I see Christian taking this away. I see him getting the win. If Jungle Boy gets the win, you know that Christian is putting him over, and there's nothing else for Christian to do in AEW, so he might end up going back to WWE and siding with I was gonna say Evo rather than Edge, just because of Judgment Day and like all that aesthetic. But I really do think that if Christian loses to Jungle Boy, puts him over, that we're gonna see Christian back in WWE with Edge to take on Judgment Day. That's gonna be fun to do. But I didn't really watch anything of, well, I mean, I peeked in here and there with Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Garcia. Who cares about Christian? I care about Christian. What are you talking about? Who cares about Christian? Man, I care.
Do they want to hear my mouth?
It's Greg.
You talk about Christian like that.
Yes, the Jungle Boy promos, they suck, man. I'm just like, what is this? It's a boy talking to me. I need him to be like a little bit more of a man. Like, I can't take him seriously if he's talking like a boy. I'm sorry. I like guys who are confident, who are sexy, and they know what they want. If you don't know what you want, then we could still be friends, but like, I just need that type of like roughness, that grittiness, something that I can like really believe that, like, I could believe you. I don't believe Jungle Boy. But yeah, getting to that 2 out of 3 falls, I peeked in here and there because I don't really care for Bryan Danielson matches like that anymore. I am very neutral when it comes to Danielson. Danielson like was one of my favorites, and I will tell everybody and anybody to like watch his matches. He's a very good technical wrestler. You guys know that I love technical wrestling, but I'm just so over Daniel Bryan, and I don't like Daniel Garcia at all. I think that he tries way too hard to try to, get gotcha moments on Twitter. He tries way too hard, and I just don't feel like he's very genuine. So that's a no for me. There's more to it, but that's a no for me. I like Christian when he's the real Christian Cage. This version of him is horrible. His rationale for the heel turn makes no sense, and he doesn't seem like he really wants to be doing this angle. Yeah, and yeah. I still wish he would deliver that line though. Every Danielson match lately is the same. It's good stuff, but if you've seen one, you've seen them all. That phrase, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. That goes with the whole entire AEW. Only because hold on, excuse me. I thought I was going to sneeze. That goes with the whole entire AEW premise, because I've watched not every single one of these guys, but like a majority of these guys, the ones that are always on rotation, the ones that we are always talking about. I've seen them so much that I'm like, you guys need to do something new. Like, I don't know what else you can do. Stop going back into being nostalgic. Because for some reason, whenever AEW does nostalgia stuff, it's okay. But if WWE does it, it's not okay. What is that? That is some bullshit. We can't have this whole double standard thing of like, whatever WWE does, it's bad. Whatever AEW does is good. Like, there has to be some type of common ground. So I've watched all of Danielson's career. Okay. So from Ring of Honor to like the other indies to WWE and now in AEW, because he never really touched Impact Wrestling. And then who else was I thinking? The Young Bucks. I've seen them. I watched them as Generation Me when they were in Ring of Honor. Got to see them live. They're cool. Got to see them in Impact Wrestling whenever, it was on TV and stuff. And, seeing them, at the big event and talking to them, they're like really cool people. And then having AEW. But I think what I don't like about the Young Bucks is that, well, there's a whole list I don't like right now. But the main thing is that I just think that they should have taken a year and a half off. Well, not off, but like before they were like, yeah, we're going to be part of the team. We're going to be part of the tag team division. We're going to, go for the tag team belts, even though they really didn't do it in the first go around. But instead of continuing to wrestle for that year and a half, they should have remained. I mean, they're still EVPs. They should have been heavily involved in the backstage stuff of AEW to make sure that everything was in place. So proper teams, hiring proper teams that can help with the load of running a wrestling show, running, a wrestling company, basically. Making sure that the foundation is there, that they have their guys. And it's not really on rotation. Have the foundation and the ideas of like what is dark evolution, and what's going to be rampage. Make sure that there's legs and everything works and everything is logical, and you set the ground for that, so that way when you go at 100%, it doesn't start falling apart. And then you have to somehow scramble back to be like, oh, we should have had like these coaching teachers in place. We should have had this production team in place. We should have had this. We should have had that. And you're scrambling back to be like, oh, we need you. You're hired. Here you go. You're going to go into doing, on this team, on that team. If the Young Bucks would have, like all the EVPs, if they would have started the AEW career maybe like a year and a half after the fact, then, AEW wouldn't be struggling for 1 million viewers every single week. AEW wouldn't be struggling with their consistency. They wouldn't be struggling with their logic. They wouldn't be struggling with their women. We have 20 plus years of a blueprint of what not to do with a women's division, of what not to do in women's wrestling, of what not to do. We have 20 plus years of a blueprint of what not to do about women's wrestling. And we're still having the conversation with AEW on Twitter about you need to make your women better. When Triple H took over, the first thing he did was made the women the spotlight, and I loved it because it feels like the women in WWE are now unified, are now stronger, and they're more accented and they're more at the forefront. The men wrestlers are there. The men wrestlers are always going to bring in more of the viewers, more of the money because people go to see the men more. People do go see women's wrestling. It's just a little like, depending on how you present them, offsets the balance between the men. But the way that WWE pushes the women, that's what I want to see. I want to see more of these women. I want to hear more of their stories. I want to hear more of their, strengths, weaknesses, their goals, their motivations of like why they're fighting the other women, of why they're having this match, why they're having this angle. And it's not like 20 plus years ago where it's like, oh, I didn't like her hair, so let's go have a match. Oh, I didn't like that she looked at this guy this way, or like I didn't like we're wearing the same bikini or dress or some stupid shit that WWE used to do in the past. Because at one point WWE really thought that women should just be there as like an accessory. But now with Triple H involved, the women don't feel like an accessory. In AEW, the women feel like an accessory. And it's like, that's not how it should be. You have this blueprint. You should go study it. And if you don't want to study it, I could study it for you. I already know like what we like should not do. We shouldn't have the women second to the main event. No. Have the women open up AEW. Have the women close AEW, or have the women on after the opening segment. Do not put them in that time slot that's like 9:30, because then what? They're going to have like 5 minutes, maybe less to get their stuff in. And then, you're like, oh, we're trying. We just hired new coaches. We're trying, guys. We're trying. No, you know what you do every single time. That's the thing that needs to stop. Like, we were so vocal on Twitter about, the placement of the women. And they were listening for a while. And then once they gave it to us, everybody just stopped. And it's like, I wonder if people actually listen. And if people actually pull over Tony Khan and be like, look, you got to slow down. You got to stop moving 100 miles a minute. And you got to really like plan all this out. You need a team to bounce off of ideas, to do little bullet points. No one is asking you to write out full-blown scripts to have them memorize it. Every time that I want to put on Twitter that like, hey, I have a writing degree. I legit have a writing degree, and I have a publishing certificate. My whole goal in this life, other than to get hired by another wrestling company, is to one day publish my own novel, which I've been saying that for years. But nonetheless, I know how to write, obviously. But what I mean is that my tactics for making sure that the wrestlers get over is a lot different from back in the day when WWE had their writers, and even current day WWE writers. Nothing against them. Nothing against how they do things, but you know, I have a different view, I have a different tactic. Not everyone is comfortable with reading from a script. Cool. While there are people comfortable reading from a script, but I will approach every single wrestler a little bit different, to the point where it's like, hey, you know, this is what I have for you. This is what I envision the character should be or could be. Can you like take a look at it, and can you give me some feedback if you want to change some stuff? Cool. If you don't, awesome. You know, like, you work with the wrestler, you work with them because they're a human being first. It is their story, even though they're playing a character. They should be playing a character, and they're not necessarily themselves. But that's like a whole nother topic for a whole nother discussion. But you get it. Like, there's different ways that I would handle how to approach a wrestler to be like, hey, you know, this is what we think that your character should do. These are the interactions. What do you think? But yeah, someone should like pull Tony aside and be like, look, man, you got to get over this starstruck thing if you really want to be part of this so-called competition that, you know, you guys really want to be part of, or it might just be a Tony Khan thing where he just wants to be a part of it. But someone really needs to pull him aside and be like, look, you got to change up your stuff. You got to change this, you got to change that, and everything like that. But yeah, to be honest, I found AEW to be boring yesterday, just because Kenny came back. That's cool. CM Punk had that little heated argument with Moxie, and then Moxie kissing him. Let me not get into that. Just because. By the way, I am going to say this, though, that for my wrestler of the year, goes to Will Ospreay. Ospreay gets my nomination for wrestler of the year. And with that, we are going to watch some wrestling.